Welcome to Soccer Morning on NASN. Here's your host, Jason Davis.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Jason Davis with you. Soccer Morning, North American Soccer Network, NASN.TV. It's a very special Monday edition of Soccer Morning, February 17th, 2014. A brand new 37-year-old Jared DuBois. I'm sorry, I had to do that. You know, it's just...
Did you say brand new? Is that what you said?
You're brand new to being 37 is what I'm saying.
Oh, yes, I'm brand new to being 37. You know, it's funny, like, being on this show, you would think we'll probably just fall right into the normal rhythm, but I feel like you guys run a class operation here. I kind of feel like I'm Rodney Dangerfield at the country club, at Caddyshack. Like, I'm around, like, in the middle with Ted Knight saying, who stepped on a duck?
Oh, man, dancing with our wives. Is that what you're trying to tell me? You're out there.
You know what's funny is that there's a whole group of your audience is not going to get that. But I still believe that if I, as a 37-year-old man born in 1977, have to know, I still made time to know Blazing Saddles, Three Stooges, Hope and Crosby, Martin and Lewis. Guys this age need to go back and know what Caddyshack is.
You just Martin and Lewis and Pope and Crosby the show. That's ancient. That's way before 1977.
I'm just saying, respect your elders.
Absolutely. Respect your elders. Respect history is what you're trying to tell me, right?
Yes.
That's what you're trying to tell me. All right. Speaking of history, did you watch any FA Cup this weekend at all? Any?
No.
None. Because you don't care.
I don't care. Well, listen, it's not that I don't care. I'll watch it if it's on. I had nothing else to do, but I had other stuff to do today. But on Saturday, I chose, instead of watching FA Cup, I introduced my 4-year-old to the Star Wars trilogy.
That's right. I saw you talking about that on VHS.
On VHS.
Why on VHS?
Because that's the way it's supposed to be watched.
No. Look, okay. You're talking about an interesting phenomenon here. If you're going to ascribe to VHS tapes the same kind of nostalgia people give to records. To vinyl. That does not, no, that is no. I'm
telling you, when my kid's 20, his hipster friends are going to watch as many movies as they can on VHS.
No, they'll go all the way back to actual film and they'll get canisters.
There is certain movies I should watch on VHS. Star Wars is one. Indiana Jones is another.
See, 80s kid, I don't think this works. I mean, look, I loved VHS when I was a kid. Well, we have moved on. We have better things now.
Let me tell you another reason why. Because especially with Star Wars, the Star Wars universe is supposed to be old and gritty. It's a used universe. You don't want this extra clean, sparkly crap that George Lucas has put on it in the last 3 movies.
So if the Darth Vader Obi-Wan Kenobi fight happens, you get tracking line right across the screen, right in the middle. You're like, that's part of the flavor, baby. That's what I want on my Star Wars. I'm
just the tracking, just a little bit.
All right. So Jared is sitting in. He is a guest host today. We have to thank Mr. Scott Utterson for contributing to Soccer Morning as part of our Indiegogo campaign and getting Jared this seat. I mean, we put it open to people who wanted to contribute, could be guest hosts, and we're lining all the rest of you guys up as we speak, by the way. But Scott graciously donated his time to Jared DuBois, so we've got Jared here. Scott's got some demands, and I feel like we should go over Scott's demands. Do you want to get to that now? I can also set up the rest of the show. We do have Chris Jones, founder and president of Nashville FC, which is a supporter-owned club in Nashville in the MPSL. We'll talk to him. We've had him on the show before. We'll bring him back and get a new update. They've got a very good badge, a very good crest that's out now.
Very nice.
And we're going to talk to Sean Reed, who has written a book called Love Thy Soccer, which is a sort of grand scope look at American soccer and everything that goes into it. So let's get to Scott's demands. You want to do that?
Okay.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
So Scott has demanded, number one, these are threefold, these demands. Number one, when will podcasting get big? And something about us becoming rich and famous. And I don't want to laugh at Scott, and it's not really laughing at Scott. It's sort of
laughing at ourselves.
Yeah, well, laughing at ourselves and sort of just like a rueful, like sardonic, like.
Just look at the screen right now. Neither of us can afford a razor. You're talking about being rich.
Hey, look, man, this is carefully cultivated. I know you're just lazy.
This is just laziness. Yeah.
Carefully cultivated. I mean, we should be on television. Let's not lie about this.
I know. I mean, I got the hair for it. Come on.
Well, yeah, okay, and I got the voice. I don't know, something.
Yeah, you do have the voice.
And number two, he wants Galaxy. He's a Southern California guy. He wants Galaxy predictions for 2014. We can do that now. I don't have any. I haven't nailed anything down in MLS yet, Jared. First of all, I haven't watched any preseason because I don't pull anything out of it. I don't know. I'm sure there's value there. I just don't see it.
Just to give a quick take on it, I think LA made a lot of smart decisions. They didn't make any sexy splashes, which is normally the fact that LA went through an entire off-season transfer window without any big name attached or even rumored, I think is. I mean, I'm not counting Rio Ferdinand as a big name, by the way. I think that they made a few smart, necessary decisions. They brought in Samuel and they brought in a friend. I think they know they needed some guys that were going to stretch the defense. The Donovan Keane relationship, while great, if one of them goes down or one of them gets hurt or one of them's on national duty, they really have a big drop off up front.
Well, you're going to lose Donovan for some time for national team. You're not going to lose. Unfortunately for Ireland, you're not going to lose Robbie Keane for the same amount of time. But yeah, you're right. I mean, they're obviously.
We figure both those guys are guys that want to play underneath another striker. They're both guys that want to kind of play underneath. So I mean, you want a guys going to push and then push the line out and push the defense and give more room for Juninho and Sarvas, whoever's playing the midfield, to operate. And I think that's what they've done by trying to find guys that can really stretch a defense more.
Okay, so there you go. I mean, in terms of predictions, they make the playoffs. That's as far as I'm going to go right now.
I can say that for every team. I can say about Chivas this year, and I think Chivas is going to be a pretty good team this year. Not okay. Let me hold on, back up. They're going to be better. Let's put it that way. They're going to be better this year.
I need like a break sound effect. By the way, a little bit more sound effect work today on Soccer Morning than you are used to. It just naturally comes with the territory when Jared is on the show, or we do the best soccer show. So just a little bit of the flavor is going to come over, not the whole thing. But I don't have any breaks. Yeah, put on the brakes. Chivas going to be better. Chivas not going to be good. I don't see it that way necessarily. I mean, they're going to make the bottom of the West.
Listen, I know you and I feel differently on this. I'm a fan of Wilmer Cabrera. I like Wilmer Cabrera, but I think Chivas made a smart hire there. I think. Yes. Yeah, I mean, coming in and getting a guy like Mauro Rosales on the cheap, I mean, I think that's a kind of a shrewd move. That's a risk, but I think it's a risk that could really pay off for him. I think they've taken a right few steps on a long road to getting back to some kind of relevance.
It's MLS, and you can go from really, really bad to relevant in 1 year. I just don't think Chivas...
By the way, Scott paid good money as a Galaxy fan. We're talking Chivas. You realize that, right?
Yeah, well, we're going to actually talk a little bit more Chivas here in a second, but it just came up naturally. All right, so better. Here's what I'll say, and this relates to the rest of the Western Conference as well. Chivas is going to make the bottom of the West tougher, because and I would imagine FC Dallas is going to improve a little bit, and you're going to see. I don't know. I think you're going to see some of those points that the top of the West was getting off of those teams go missing. I mean, a couple here and there. So it's going to make the West.
You can see the same thing in the East though, with Toronto FC really putting some money in there. There could definitely be there's going to be reorganization of what we consider to be the strong and weak teams this year in MLS.
Yeah, and DC United is going to get. Whether or not they are a playoff team, they're going to get they're obviously much better on paper, so that will make them a tougher out and will take some points off of those top teams and make it more difficult for that 4-5 spot, which was super tight at the end of last season anyway. All right. Yeah. Number 3 on Scott's list is a discussion of the 23-man roster as we currently see it for the U.S. men's national team for the World Cup in Brazil. We will get to that. We have both worked out our 23-man rosters. We will have a full discussion later on. We'll happily open up the phone lines for that as well. In fact, I'll go ahead and open up the phone lines now. 347-756-6276. It's JD on the Rod in the morning. This has never happened before. It's brand new.
Any wacky sound effects.
It's 7 o'clock, 7:10 where you are. I just can't even imagine that. Like, if we ever, and I'm happy to do this, by the way, for the right amount of money, I'll do anything. But if you ever got a legit morning show job and it was 4 o'clock wake up call to be in the studio at 7, I don't know. Could you handle it?
That's right. Well, I mean, listen, I'm at work by 5:45 every day anyway, so it's not that much of a change for me. But listen, if I could do it from my home like I am right now, it'd be a lot easier on me.
You're laughing at me. My dad, whose wake up is 4 o'clock, and as a former military guy, as a former Air Force man, so yeah, I'd work it out. All right, so we're gonna get to the 23-man roster. The other thing I wanted to touch on here at the top, we've got again Chris Jones from Nashville FC will join us at the bottom of the hour, 10:30. Chivas Guadalajara, and this is from our man Sean Francis, the offside rules. I'm sure you know him. I'm sure everybody knows him.
As Leisha Rattree as well from the Go Parade.
Okay, I didn't realize she had it as well. Of course, they have tweeted out what appears to be a possible rebrand for Chivas USA. And hold on, let's get to that in a second. Area code 512, you're on the air.
Hey guys, Tony from Austin.
What's up, man?
Hey, missed you guys this weekend. It's pretty cool hearing Jared on this as well. Question for you guys.
Yes.
This new Julian Green thing coming out. If he does pick us, I haven't heard if you guys talked about it. What's going to be for us?
If he does pick us, what? We'll all feel better and I don't know, put up a picture of him on our wall and
in my locker, yeah,
put his name in our locker. I mean, look, I think he's a talented player. He's 19 years old. He's obviously attached to a giant club and could. I don't care yet. I want him to pick us because I want every to pick the United States.
I'm gonna say a little bit different. At this point, you kind of have to. Are coming out as true. If in order to secure his services, that Jurgen Klinsmann may be prepared to bring him to a World Cup.
Right.
It's at a point where you have to care.
Well, okay. My issue with that is that I don't know, and the only thing I've seen is a translation from a build piece, right? From a build or item, which is like 300 words. Is he saying he's putting him on the roster and bringing him as a player, or is he saying inviting him to like be around the team and go to the games and maybe
absorb the aura?
I'm just saying he's 19 and he's never played for the U.S. Why would he just hand him a World Cup spot?
I'm going to say this: is it outside the realm of possibility that Jurgen Klinsmann values the Bayern Munich system even at a lower level enough that he would value it more than what some guys are doing in MLS?
That's possible, but
is he not maybe in a more professional environment than some guys are playing in?
No,
you don't think so?
No,
I agree with you on that, Jason.
I mean, look, we're comparing apples and oranges to begin with, but and whether you think he's more talented than some of the midfielders coming out of MLS, I mean, I don't know. I honestly haven't seen the kid play, so
I've seen highlights. Yeah,
how am I supposed to make an estimation of his talent or what he can bring? I'm only taking this from a practical viewpoint, and in my practical estimation, it makes zero sense to hand Julian Green a.
Jurgen Klinsmann has Andy Herzog's living in Austria, probably scouting this kid on the weekly. You know, if he's talking to this, he knows what this kid has going on. I mean, the guy has every bit of ability to have a full idea of what this kid has to bring. My bigger question is, what does it do to the team dynamic when you have guys that have been slaving for 4 years to get a spot on this team, and a kid can maybe come in at 19 years old and make it just on hype?
There are way more reasons for him not to do it than for him to do it. Because unless he is Lionel Messi, it doesn't make any sense to me. It just doesn't. 757, you're on the air. What's up?
Hey, how you guys doing? My name is Ted from Virginia. I just called to see whether you guys are interested in becoming the owners of Nashville FC.
If we are, personally?
Yeah, because they have this thing. I think like if you pay like $75, you can get into all their home games. You can get part of like ownership, whatever. Yeah. Yeah.
No, we're going to talk to Chris Jones in a little while about it. I mean, it's certainly gone over their setup before. It is. They
don't want me as an owner. I fly over that area of the country.
They want every dollar they can get. If you're going to be in California, not paying.
If you could buy, listen, I personally can't buy into Nashville because it's like I'm almost legitimatizing the country music. I can't do that.
Oh, whoa, hold on! You just slated all of country music.
Yes,
completely
terrible.
All of
terrible.
So Johnny Cash in your iPod.
No,
zero. Johnny Cash.
Zero.
Okay.
Zero. I think you might have Social Distortion's version of Bring a Fire. That's about it.
God. Okay. Well, you are sort of getting it filtered and whatever, man. I'm not a country music fan, the modern stuff, but it's something you recognize the quality.
Man, listen, I'm gonna ask this guy when it comes on. Will their uniforms be bedazzled?
Just be glad that there's not an actual music note in their badge, because that would be
the Jazz.
Yes, which doesn't make any sense because they moved from New Orleans to Utah. You got anything else, man?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I think kind of amazing because I know you had him on your show before, and I had doubts about what they can get off the ground, but it seems like they actually want to do it. So I was kind of impressed.
You know what? I don't think the test of this setup is getting off the ground or getting them launched. This test is continuing on year after year after year because you can get enthusiasm built and get people to give you $75 a pop or whatever their ownership fees or membership fees are. And that's great, but people will drop off in year 2 and year 3, and they're going to have to build up another new batch of owners, and that's tough when the enthusiasm has gone out the window when it's not new anymore. Which we'll talk to Chris about all this.
Like a marriage.
Semi-pro, so hopefully they will have lesser burdens. They can build up slowly, I guess. They'll have time to build up their team.
It depends what their aspirations are, to be honest, and that's what we're going to find out in a little bit here.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll find that. I appreciate the call, man. 347-756-6276. All right, speaking of branding and badges, we were talking about Chivas USA, a potential rebrand. I mean, I don't know what this is. Brand new to me this morning. You mentioned Alicia and
Ratchery.
Well, okay. So she's been on this show before. We never used that name for her, which I think is her married name. It's fine, whatever. Or whatever. That's her former name. There's a couple of different badges out there. It seems that there have been trademarks filed with the Patent and Trademark Office on both Los Angeles SC and Los Angeles FC.
Which, first of all, is like a shock to me that the Galaxy never handled that business early on.
Because
it's not unusual to see a franchise buy similar possible names and kind of hold on to them. MLS has bought a number of different city FC names and just has them sitting in their back pocket in case they ever expand to them. So it's not that much of a shock, and it doesn't mean there's going to be a rebrand. It could just be them handling some business. I'm more surprised that if they are going to rebrand, they would with something as vanilla as Los Angeles SC or Los Angeles FC.
Yeah. I'm not necessarily on board with vanilla, but I get the logic of making it a blank slate. We talked about this before on the Best Soccer Show. We did it with Miami FC or whatever they're going to be. The potential is that they could be Miami FC, which I don't know how that works with the old team that moved to Fort Lauderdale. I don't know where those trademarks are. But you could make yourself Los Angeles SC, and then, it kind of builds up. You let the fans build up
I just think the smarter thing is if you're going to do something that's more geographic, go like SoCal United. Like unite all the different areas of SoCal, different communities and counties, Orange County, LA, Inland Empire, San Diego, and kind of try to represent as big of a segment as you can. Because with the 40-mile radius they have to put development academy tags on kids, they encompass 3 or 4 of those counties.
I suppose you're right, but I mean, that's... okay, how about this? As the SoCal native, as the guy who lives there, give us a sort of sense about how people feel outside of Los Angeles proper about being labeled, the whole area being labeled LA. I mean, it's SoCal.
We're used to it. We're used to it. I mean, just look at the Angels. I mean, look how the Angels have been California Angels, Anaheim Angels, Los Angeles Angels. They still haven't gotten it right. We're used to that kind of... I'm 40 miles from LA. It takes me an hour to drive there. Yet, if someone asks me where I'm from and they're not from California, I'm gonna say Los Angeles.
Say LA, right? I
live in a suburb of Los Angeles.
I no longer say DC because I'm too far out to feel comfortable doing that. But when I was living in the suburbs, when I went to college,
I think in Orange County now they have the notoriety of people knowing what that is, that they don't claim LA the way they probably used to. They claim Orange County because there's been a movie, a television series, songs. I mean, people around the country know Orange County now.
Okay.
So and San Diego's kind of the same thing. So there is getting a more of a divide in terms of how people identify in Southern California.
Let's forget let's forget the problems or wisdom of going with Los Angeles, whether it's SC or FC or whatever. I like SC, by the way, because again, I have no problem bouncing back and forth, and people will hear me do it on this show between football and soccer. But I like teams being SC because that's what we've always called this sport. If you want to call
it, doesn't feel as fake,
It doesn't feel as put on. You're not making, you're not putting on a show for the European fans in the room.
There's one tweet just came in right now, real quick. This is from Seth Hunter, and he says, "Has anyone thought that these logos could be a Chivas USA, Chivas USL Pro team, like their entry?"
I suppose that's possible. Right.
I just don't understand the disconnect and why you would rebrand it something different than your parent organization. Then, though,
yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know where this is. I don't think this guarantees any sort of rebrand. I don't think this guarantees a rebrand. I mean, it's interesting that these things have happened. As the resident lawyer in the MLS journalism pool, Kyle McCarthy, said on Twitter, sometimes it's just about protecting your brand or protecting your area, or protecting your possibilities in the future. So it may be 10 years down the road. I don't think it'd be that long, but it may be 10 years down the road before Chivas USA decides to rebrand. But I want to get to the actual badges here because I've seen two.
Yes.
I don't know if these are the only two. The first
one looks like a Game of Thrones like guild symbol or something.
It's got like a cross, which is like it looks like
not that one. I think the other one looks more Game of Thrones.
Okay, so the one with the eagle head looks
like
more
their sigil. Is it an eagle or is it a bear?
Oh,
I don't know. I think you're right. I think it's an eagle.
It's an eagle. It's like an eagle, and it's an eagle over a bear is what it looks like. And it's got the ball. It's got the Telstar ball, the Bucky ball. What
logo in America doesn't?
Well, I know, but it just turns me off immediately. And it's all I don't know. That's an interesting one. There's a lot of stuff going on there.
I like the other one though, where it looks like a coat of arms. You know, it's got the bear, the star.
Now, the cross is interesting. It's the St. George's.
Very English,
as I can tell. Yeah. And it's got a star, a castle, which is like a rook, a lion, like an English lion with a crown on its head, and a bear. I get the bear.
Maybe the rook is to tell people how they're going to play soccer. They're going to go very direct, up and down the field, no diagonals.
Maybe that's what it is. I don't get the lion.
I don't get the lion, but the bear obviously is California.
305, turn the show down. 305, turn the show down. You're on the air. What's up?
Hi, Jason, this is Max Ramos from the Southern Legion.
What's up?
Hey, I know you guys wanted to talk to us on the show, and we haven't been able to get to you, but I was able to talk to you guys today.
Okay. Well, I talked to you. I talked to you a couple of days ago, right?
Yeah. About the article. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that that's really where we are at the moment. Appreciate the phone call. We're talking to LA at the moment, so I don't. I appreciate the phone call. If we get back into Miami, you're free. You're free to call and jump in.
Okay, so all right, so another day.
Yeah, sure. Appreciate it, man.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
Other guys tried to make his own guest host appearance on my guest host day.
That's Max Ramos from Southern Legion. He's their social media guy. Southern Legion's the Sons of Ben like group in Miami that's trying to get that has been pushing for MLS. I once questioned whether or not they had an actual movement. I think they're doing an okay job, and clearly they're proactive, Jared. They're trying to get the world. Clearly.
Salting me up.
So look, I mean, I think we all have agreed that Chivas USA needs to rebrand, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. They need to listen. First of all, I think it was a huge misstep by thinking they could bring the Chivas brand to Southern California. There's so many different ethnicities here. I mean, Mexican families here that have identities with other clubs in Chivas. It was a big overstep there. I think they are at a point right now they got nothing to lose. Try it. And if they want to go for the LA thing, go for the LA thing. I think the Galaxy are going to be very, very protective of it, and I think they have a war on their hands in terms of identity if they decide to go this way.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see where that club goes. I mean, we can talk about the kind of on-field reformation and what Wilmer Cabrera can do. And I, like you, I'm a fan of Wilmer Cabrera. I think he could be successful. They're not going to break through. They're not going to kind of break the shackles of everything that has stuck to them until they get out of the Chivas business. And I don't even know that they can rebrand tomorrow. But if Jorge Vergara is still owning that team, does it matter?
What's going to change? Yeah, what's going to change? I mean, they almost have to put like a new type of, I don't want to say a charter, but something out there to say, what is the direction of the club? What do we stand for? I don't know anymore. It's changed so many dang times. I don't know what the identity of this team is outside of the red and white stripes I expect to see on the uniforms.
And we don't know. It's interesting. I know that there's a lawsuit, and you're never going to get anybody to talk while a lawsuit is pending. But it's interesting that, and I think you said this on the Best Soccer Show not too long ago. We bypassed all. It's all gone. It's all forgotten about for the most. We never talk about it anymore.
No one's talking about it anymore.
We don't talk about it. It's like they did this really bad. It's like your kid. He did this really bad thing, and you punished them. Not that MLS punished Chivas.
We all went to sleep and woke up the next morning and forgot about it.
They got reprimanded. You said, "I will punish you later." You get reprimanded. Sent to your room, right? Or in this case, put on HBO, put on blast on HBO. Sent to your room, and then the next day you forget about it. You're like, you out in the backyard and you play t-ball or whatever. It's weird that we have moved on so completely from all of this. And part of that is because MLS has had so many other things happen in their news cycle. It's just
which is a good thing. I mean, there's been huge stories that rightfully took it off the front page, but I just think we're doing a disservice if we forget that a year ago this team was in shambles. I mean, it also is credit that they're a little bit more stable than they are now than they were a year ago. But I mean, I haven't forgotten. It's been bad.
Yeah, it has been bad. I don't know what the future of that team is. I mean, we had that ridiculous Kroenke rumor, which I don't think is going anywhere. At least I don't buy it yet until I see it from somebody more reputable than the Sun out of England. And I can't imagine the LA Gunners. Did we talk about this yet?
I like that. I kind of like the idea, but I mean, it's weird, but I kind of dig it.
Well, I mean, it makes everybody our age think of the band.
I just picture like a Michael Mann made intro video where Michael Mann always uses the city of LA so well in his movies. Like Heat and stuff. It's I don't know, for some reason I kind of like the idea, but it does seem I think there's a slippery slope that if we start doing the Manchester City version in the US, the Arsenal version in the US, it's a really slippery slope.
And that's why I've always been pretty adamant that if New York City FC is a fine idea, and look, it's already New York City, a place. It's not really like you're tacking on the word city just to make it like Manchester City.
Yeah,
makes sense. They gotta have their own identity. They've got to drop the sky. They're probably gonna go sky blue, and I'm probably gonna be annoyed by that. It's just gonna annoy me. And I just want.
But there's kind of some smart thinking in that it's not Arsenal LA Gunners. Like you get the attachment without the official attachment, and a red kit would probably be.
Again, this kind of goes back, and we got a break here for Chris Jones from Nashville FC, but. The Washington Bullets changed their name because their city had a bad rep and their name was the Bullets. Could you really name them the LA Gunners? I know it's not really a name, a word we use to talk about.
I'll tell you right now, if they branded black and silver, they would be so successful here.
It's the Jimmy Conrad plan with Club Deportivo.
But with Gunners as well?
Yeah, you're right. That would be massive. And in a bad...
It would just come out to NWA.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, Chris Jones, founder president of Nashville FC, the supporter-owned club in Tennessee, will join us. We'll talk through his project. It's Soccer Morning, North American Soccer Network, NASN.TV. Jason and Jared, don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to Soccer Morning on NASN with Jason Davis.
Back on Soccer Morning, Jason Davis and Jared DuBois. Thank you very much. My boy Jared sitting in, co-hosting today's episode.
I get used to your funky intro music. I'm not used to.
Hey, man, it's all good. It's fantastic stuff. Jared's here thanks to Scott Utterson. I guess, does he get a producer label? Definitely, right? Producer Scott Utterson hooking up Jared with a guest spot, our guest hosting spot. We're joined now by Chris Jones from Nashville FC. This is the United States' first supporter-owned soccer club located in Nashville, says the banner on their website. Chris, how are you?
Doing great, fellas. Appreciate you having me back on.
No problem, man. So the last time we talked, I mean, it was about the campaign. It was about getting those owners, getting those members, whatever terminology you guys use. I see that there's a crest now. How far along are we in this process?
Yeah, I was watching the show a little bit before I came on, and it's interesting you're talking about the rebranding. When we were going through the design, originally, instead of the fleur-de-lis in the center, we actually had a gunner, and not because of the LA gunners that we're just talking about, but there's a big Civil War history here in Nashville and in Tennessee in general. So we were going to kind of play up to that, but then during that branding, we were kind of a little skeptical that it would look too much like, hey, we're trying to be like Arsenal or things like that. So we went with the fleur-de-lis in the center because of the city crest and things like that. But yeah, so far it's been a good hit. A couple of negative comments that we had the 3 stars above it, but that represents the state of Tennessee.
Well, I just could take you guys did a fantastic job with this crest. I mean, I love that it's not playing on anything that's kind of overtly Euro stealing or anything like that. It's something that feels natural. What's up,
Jared? It is FC though, and I we just had.
I mean, listen, I listen. That's just something. I think at this point we have to almost accept like Xerox and like Kleenex that there's certain things that we're going to be branded now. I mean, it's you have to kind of accept that to a certain extent. So I love the crest. I think you guys did a fabulous job with it. The Sabres, is that playing up to the Civil War kind of thing too?
Yeah, well, you talk about the guitar pick that's like the alternate crest.
Oh no, the two swords you have going through it.
Oh, well, that's I think you're looking at there's one that looks like a guitar pick that has the Cavalier swords, and that's an alternate crest, and then we have our main crest, which is just the circle.
Right.
And there's a lot of hidden meaning between that. There's a line that goes through the middle that actually is supposed to represent the divide between the North and the South because of all the Civil War battles that happened here. The overall look, if you look at it because of the end, it looks like it's a record that kind of spins for Music City. And then the colors came from the city itself and all that kind of good stuff. But yeah, the alternate crest does have the Cavalier swords for the Civil War.
I told Jared I'm glad that you guys didn't go with any overt musical symbols. I'm just glad you didn't do that.
Yeah, it's a little played out if we did that.
So at this point, in terms of putting the team together, I mean, look, the branding is all very, very important. I get that. Right. I think Jared and I are both giving you a thumbs up on the look. So good job there. Where is the actual business of putting out a team of players who people can come and watch?
Right. So we've had a couple of tryouts, both open and invite only. We've got a good running number right now, about 40 guys that we feel really confident about. Obviously, we got to get that down. We're still waiting on. There's some college dates where some top college players that can actually come and try out. They're limited, obviously, when they can and when they can't. So we're thinking some more, maybe beginning of March, mid-March, when we can catch them on spring break. That will, give us a couple more quality guys to look at. But right now, we got a pretty good feel in talking to our coach, Brian Johnson, and our club director of club operations, Andy Pocklad. And talking to them, they feel confident that they could just pluck 30 guys, 25 guys out of the 40 we have now and be very competitive at the MPSL level. Now,
Chris, explain to us a little bit the is it merger? Is it purchasing of the Atlas Club? I know that Nolan Pittman's kind of been out there, and there's some quotes that maybe kind of allude to the fact he still has a bit of an ownership stake in this somehow. And you being a founder-owned a privately owned team with your supporters. How does that work? And is it a merger? Is it an acquisition? Can you enlighten us a little bit of how that went down?
It's kind of a mixed bag, to be honest with you. When we first sat down, I was kind of clear to the guys and said, look, we built this on the fact that we are community owned and community ran. So that if that's going to be taken away, and even if it's just 1% taken away, I personally was not interested. And they assured us they just wanted to know more about it. And as we talked, they began to see that it was possible to be successful with going this route. And so without getting into too much legal kind of jargon and all that kind of good stuff, basically they're going to, with some conditions of certain people in positions in the front office and one or two on the board, they're going to just gift us some of their assets and their MPSL charter, excuse me, and then the community ownership stays in place. Everything will be under the bylaws and the umbrella of Nashville FC. Atlas at that point, its current form will dissolve, and then we're going to recreate Atlas as a 501c3 charity, and that's all of our community outreach will be through the Atlas Foundation. But everything will be Nashville FC. It'll still be community owned. The members will vote on who's on the board. The members actually just put to vote and decided, instead of limiting it to 150 to be founders, that actually any person that signs up between now and the first game, May 10th, will be considered a founder.
That's good to hear. Now, talk to us a little bit about what are the aspirations of Nashville without the U.S. soccer is famous, at least between how Jason and I talk, famous for not having the correct kind of pyramid. The pyramid's kind of messed up here. How does a organization like yourself see? How do you kind of gauge your aspirations? How far can you go? I mean, there's $50 million to $100 million necessary to buy into an MLS franchise these days. How do you kind of marry that with $75 donations as a founder? And how far can you take this in your mind?
Right. So we have to be very creative. And it's definitely not going to be easy. Sorry, I got dogs in the background. If we tried to sell it that this is a given, it's not going to be that big of a deal, we'd be very naive. So our plan is we want to pair up with a lot of the rec and youth organizations here in the mid-state, excuse me. And so by doing that, we can form partnerships where, each registration we get a little bit funneled up to the club, and in return, we'll do free clinics and provide the training materials and things like that. Just a true partnership with soccer, and kind of everyone feeding into this model. Then there's, of course, there's corporate sponsorships, and there's just revenue in general from running the games and concessions, things like that. We also have the ability, just like most nonprofits, that if to be on certain committees and things like that, you have to bring X amount of dollars to the club. So we have some really high-level businessmen that are interested in us being successful, but they really don't want to be involved in the day-to-day operations. So we have an executive committee to where if they want to be involved in that and advise us on how we should run the club and give us pointers, they have to bring X amount of dollars in that. And obviously, as we go from MPSL to either NASL or USL Pro, that dollar amount could go up and based on our needs.
No, Chris, look, I mean, that's all obviously great, and you have to have a long-term vision. I'm sure some people would say it's cart before the horse, but, you got to think big. Otherwise, what's the point? But in the short term, well, first of all, and we may have covered this, and I apologize, and this may be on your website, but where are you playing, and what kind of crowd expectations do you have?
We have a proposal in hand. I'd rather not say. I'll just say that it's
okay.
It's the premier. Yeah, I know that sounds so vague. I get it. It's the premier soccer-specific location in this area. It's a recognized university, and they have the proposal in hand. We feel confident they're going to take it. And what that does, it creates a domino effect for us, because in that proposal we have that we want to be able to sell, beer and alcohol. Not liquor, but wine and beer, and that brings on sponsors like Yazoo that are very interested. They're just waiting to get the okay. Thorny Rose, I have to do some product placement here. I'm not meaning to do that, but We got some fun, exciting things. We have a VIP tent where people can go and enjoy wine during the breaks or even during the game if they want to. So it'll create a really great soccer environment for both families and the rowdy crowds.
Chris, do you feel your club may be the first example in the U.S. that's going to really try to make a run at this whole fan-owned club? Does your model get punished in the American game by not having a promotion and relegation system in here? Because with the amount of money, like we were talking about before, that it takes to get to the highest level here in America right now, the corporate backing that's necessary to do it, the Cinderella story of a team like yours winning 3 seasons or something in a row and make it to MLS isn't a possibility.
Well, can I tip in before? Because I mean, I'm sure Chris will say something along these lines. It's going to take a lot of money, even if there was promotion and relegation. There are plenty of teams who have had the opportunity to move up a level, maybe not through winning, but who
they could subsist on part of the getting a piece of the TV ratings as they go every step. There's a lot of other ways they could fund and still have a much more grassroots, small organization.
I jumped in and I apologize. Let Chris answer the question. Go ahead, Chris.
No, I love the banter. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. We would love promotion and relegation. I agree with you 100% that until that happens, it's extremely difficult for the little guy to be successful. I mean, you look at it, kind of the parallel right now is what's happening in college football. It's the rich keeps getting richer. It's all the big money schools are lumping together while the little guy just keeps getting pushed down more and more. And that's driven off of TV dollars and things like that. With promotion and relegation, you get a shot. And I think I said this last time, Jason, you get a shot against the big guys, and that's all you could ever ask for, because you look at the EPL is kind of the holy grail, obviously, for promotion and relegation. You get a team that can get hot and win a couple games in an FA Cup, or get a good streak there toward the end of the season in championship. Well, then there's bigger sponsors, bigger dollars are more possible, because your team's going to be promoted up. You're going to get more TVs. You're going to get more eyeballs, more butts in the seats. So that would give a team like us a great chance and a great opportunity to grow. But yeah, as it stands, we just have to be really creative and be really smart, grow slow and see how it goes.
Hey, Chris, as a follow-up to that, are you guys going to be interested in joining the U.S. Open Cup competition this year and try to get if you can make a few rounds in that, you can make a pretty big splash and get competition against some of the highest levels in U.S. soccer?
Yeah, the good thing is with the NPSL, you actually have the opportunity to play in the Open Cup. Now, when exactly that happens and how that happens, I'm not 100% sure. That's more probably on the club operations side. But yeah, I mean, we would love to get a shot at working our way up on that, and who knows, maybe getting matched up against an NASL or whoever club.
It's a very cool idea. It's obviously very difficult in practice. I'm sure if we wanted to go into the nuts and bolts of everything that has gone into building this, Chris, you could give us hours of stories about how difficult it's been. And I guess, again, we sort of, the real question here for you guys, and I'm sure you're aware of this, isn't the initial enthusiasm and getting all of these people to sign up. It's the renewals and year 2 and year 3. And making sure that the club can be self-sustaining in some way, so you're not, you're offsetting what you're not getting in ownership dues. How do you guard against that? Is there any way to plan for that kind of contingency? Is it just a matter of having faith?
Well, we fully expect that there's those that want to be a part of the initial surge, and then year 2 there's going to be some fall off. It's hard to say that there wouldn't be. So we've got some plans in the background to maybe help with that. We've thought about proposing to the members, not right now, but in the near future, of going, instead of a one-time fee, maybe doing monthly, so it's a little more affordable for people. And then in return, to keep people engaged in keeping their monthly memberships, have sponsors that donate products. So maybe like a nice steakhouse locally, or maybe a national chain of sporting goods stores donate
a $50 gift card or something like that. So you go into a drawing each month to keep those memberships intact, so they're not canceling them and only making them active during the season. So a monthly winner to win a steak dinner or something like that. And that's actually an idea that FC United of Manchester gave us. We've spoke with them a couple times on how to be successful, because they've had a great run over there in the UK, and that was one of the ideas that they kind of passed along to us. But yeah, I mean, there's going to be a little bit of a drop off, but that's where we just got to really put our minds to it and get creative.
I don't even know. You mentioned FC United of Manchester, which is the club that was started at a grassroots level by dissatisfied Manchester United fans.
Right.
The other famous example is my FC, Absolute United. I honestly don't know where they stand right now. I haven't paid attention to that project in a long time. Are you taking cues from what went right and wrong from my FC before we let you go?
I got to plead ignorance on that. People have brought that to our attention. I haven't had the time to really dive into it and see what that was. I know that it was a strong push, and then it kind of fizzled out, and I think it got some negative feedback after that. But we also are in talks with Portsmouth, and what we really close and forming a partnership with them, and they've been a great help as well.
That's Chris Jones from Nashville FC, the new NPSL club, supporter owned, very cool new badge. Go check it out at NashvilleFC.net. Chris, at where you can sign up to be a supporter owner or founder at this point. Chris,
thank you.
Appreciate your time, man.
Full website coming up at the end of the month.
All right, there you go. Appreciate your time, man. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, guys.
All right, bye. So there you go. I mean, it's one of those things. Look, I try not to be super cynical about this stuff, Jared, and 99 times out of 100, this comes from love. This is love of the game. This is wanting to be as grassroots and as true to the spirit of soccer and the kind of populist game it is. But it's difficult, man. It's really, really hard.
It's really it reminds us we're at this cross section of what sport used to be, where it could be a grassroots kind of effort, and the
but it's never
conglomerate corporation, big money, multi-billion-dollar industry that is sports.
Grassroots has never. There's never been grassroots in this country. Not really.
Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, that club's 85 years old.
You said never. Don't say never if you don't want people to bring up examples.
Okay, you have one in England. Every club started as a grassroots club.
Gotcha.
All of them in England. None of them, the ones that where we stand here, and yeah, I guess you could make the argument that there were clubs that started grassroots in the United States. They don't exist anymore, and you can get upset about NASL or MLS, kind of pushing those teams down. I guess, but it's not like those teams had giant followings or that there were leagues that could support them.
Yeah, I mean, and there is examples in this country too. If you look someplace like Bethlehem Steel, where these things started, but because it petered out as a movement, they petered out along with it. There would have been a chance, if soccer had stayed consistent in this country, that those teams could have gone from there to a large, huge.
Maybe not to get into the history of professional sports in the United States, because this is about baseball and football and basketball and everything. But this is a big country, and part of the problem at that time, and as time went on, it became more and more of a problem, was that there were significant costs with running a club that a group of people getting together and starting a team couldn't handle just by putting 20,000 in the stands, and they were lucky to get 20,000. So, at the time they might have had big crowds, but we're talking about we're not talking about taking the train down to London in 2 hours. We're talking about going from Boston to Cincinnati when there was only train travel, stuff like that. I mean, and I'm not talking about soccer necessarily. I'm saying this is why the franchise system started in baseball and football, and now we have.
And the sad thing is, and I'm sure Chris knows a little bit. I'm sure he wants to break the ceiling of what I'm about to say, but the realistic expectations for a club like this is probably around the NPSL, maybe USL level. Especially with USL, where they now play regionally, where they have regions that they play within. It's kind of a smart way to keep costs low until something like this can really. But it's nice. I'm glad someone's doing the experiment, and I have every bit of optimism that I hope he can do it. But he's got a long road ahead of him to really make it big.
He does. We got 10 minutes until Sean Reed, author of Love Thy Soccer, will join us to talk about his book, which is a look at all of this weirdness that makes up the American soccer scene. In the meantime, let's address one of Scott's, I'm going to call them demands, because I think that's funny to call them demands. He demanded we talk U.S. men's national team 23-man roster. We still got months to go. We still got a Ukraine match coming up very shortly to take a look at. Julian Green, by the way, definitely training for that match. I don't know if he's going to Brazil, but he's going to train with the U.S. men's national team. I don't think that means a whole lot other than, hey, it's always good to give him a look.
It's funny. You bring up Julian Green, and can I do a quick pick your poison with you revolving Julian Green before we get into this?
I managed to put that one. I managed to put that one on the board. Go ahead.
If with each player getting one national team camp, who's more likely to get a 23-man spot on the roster, Mike McGee or Julian Green?
Oh man,
I put you in silence.
I'm gonna say McGee. McGee. I mean, obviously, it doesn't help. It doesn't help that he had food poisoning and missed out on the South Korea match. But I think that Klinsmann sees something there. He wouldn't have given him a look. And
so the value of McGee then is more valuable than getting a young guy potentially capped, so he can't go someplace else.
I don't like predatory caps.
I know, but I listen. For the most part, I agree as well. But you're looking at a guy that could be Giuseppe Rossi kind of a potential, right?
I don't know that. I hate going to that extreme. Here's the thing. Positions matter, right? Position matters in this question. Does Mike McGee have value at the World Cup? Is that what you're saying?
He's a fox in the box, a guy that can get you a goal when you need it. So I agree. Listen, I'm playing devil's advocate a bit here. I would pick Mike McGee as well.
Okay.
I totally would pick Mike McGee as well.
All right, look, I know people get excited about Julian Green. I know people have been excited about all of the German kids that John Anthony Brooks or John Brooks, whatever we're calling him. I know people are excited. I know people want to go out and grab even ones we have really no shot at, like Getty and Zelalem. I know people get excited. I just don't want anybody to jump ahead and start like anointing these kids. Look, at least John Anthony Brooks is playing in the Bundesliga. I know Julian Green's playing in the 3rd division in Germany. That's something that's important. I get that. I just don't want to. I don't want to put that on him yet.
Okay. I mean, I totally get it. I know you're always the guy that preaches caution when it comes to young kids. I'm the guy who gets all caught up in the sexiness.
Jared is all about the sexiness.
At least he's 19. He's legal.
I can't double up on it. You can't do that to me. He's 18. Yeah, he's 18. He doesn't turn
19 by then?
He doesn't turn 19 until June 6th. So
I won't get in trouble for Googling his name and sexy put together.
Here's a name. All right, let's get to our 23-man rosters. Actually, maybe we'll do that. And when this name isn't on either one, I will ask you about him. But do you want to start? You want me to start? You want to go goalkeepers, backline, midfield?
Goalkeepers going to pick themselves. So yeah, go ahead and do the keepers.
Howard, Guzan, and Ramondo are your goalkeepers. End of story. No questions asked. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
I think we're both going to agree on Omar Gonzalez, Matt Beasler, Clarence Goodson, Jeff Cameron, and I got Fabian Johnson in my back line because I want him there.
Yeah, Cameron, Beasler, Fabian Johnson, Gonzalez, Evans, Parkhurst. Did you have Parkhurst?
I do have Evans.
Did both of us leave DeMarcus Beasley out of our 23 then?
No, I have him on there.
Okay, I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 defenders in mine. Maybe that's a little bit going thin on my part, but
I have 7. But then again, I have. Well, okay, we'll get to it. I have 7 defenders. Midfield, let's do midfield. Bradley, Jones, Beckerman, Zusi, Donovan, Bedoya. Do you have Bedoya?
I have Bedoya.
Discarud, you got Discarud?
I have Discarud.
Obviously, you got Dempsey. So my wild card here is Breck Shea.
And my wild card is so disappointing on my part, but I'm going to go with what I think Klinsmann will do in the situation. I took Brad Davis to the World Cup.
Houston Dynamo fans can send their hate mail to Jared at NAS.
Hey, why have my hate mail? I picked him. You should get the hate mail. You didn't pick him.
I know that. Oh, okay, fine. Send it to Jason at NAS.
Right, I mean, I picked him through like gritting teeth, but I picked him.
Right, but I didn't see. I left him off, but I also didn't badmouth him at the same time.
That's your fault. You should have. But
all right, so I've got Shea. You've got Davis. I think it's kind of a coin toss. If Shea is playing, I think if Davis is regularly playing and Shea is not, he wins that battle. It's a matter of form in that case. It's a matter of being in decent soccer.
By the way, you had Donovan and Dempsey both in your midfield pool, right?
I did.
Okay, but yeah, no, that's why I make sure that we don't overlap. Okay.
Right, and then for forwards, I've got Altidore, Johnson, and Johansson, Johansson. That's it.
Okay, now here's where we differed because I took one less defender than you did.
You did.
I have for Mike McGee.
You do have room for Mike McGee. He's not going.
I have Mike McGee. I had Mike McGee / Green. I had like one of those two.
He's not going.
Here's what's going to happen. Neither of them are going to go, and Wondolowski's going to get that spot.
That may be true. You may be right. I don't know how he leaves Beasley off. I mean, look, I know you don't give a guy a spot because of what he's done for you over the course of qualifying. There are plenty of guys who have done yeoman's work in qualifying and then been left off the World Cup roster. But you only have so many left back options. If Fabian Johnson is not your I want him to be the first choice left back, but maybe he's not. Maybe Beasley
I still believe that as a second choice to Fabian Johnson left back, I'd rather have Michael Parkhurst for being a better defender than DeMarcus Beasley.
The one thing that you can say is that Michael Parkhurst is whether he's good at any position or rises to a level better than good, he is versatile enough to play both on the left, right, and in the middle. He can play any of those defensive positions. Maybe you don't want him facing down Ronaldo, but he is capable of doing that, and maybe that leaves DeMarcus Beasley off and opens up a spot as you have given to another striker.
I mean, I think we're both maybe taking a lot of liberty with the fact that DeMarcus Beasley was captain of the Gold Cup squad.
Yeah.
And to think he won't be here, I think both of us may be undervaluing how Klinsmann sees the DeMarcus Beasley here. But for me, when I look at the hierarchy, I just don't have him in it, and I feel bad a little bit.
I'm not hating on DMB. You're the one out there. I got him on my.
You didn't pick him either.
I got him.
You did pick him.
He's on my roster. Don't get excited. So, see, here's the difference. The difference is that you made an extra spot for a striker. You have 4 strikers. You have 4 forwards in your pool. I've got, because Dempsey and Donovan can both play up top, I don't know that he needs to take 4.
Okay.
I don't see Mike McGee going. And maybe Chris Wondolowski gets a shot. You're right that he might feel the need for a box in the box type, and both Wondolowski and McGee can play that role. I just don't know that he needs to bring them.
Okay. I think you're probably right. There probably needs to be another defender in there, but I just wanted to find a way to get Mike McGee in the team.
You just love that man McGee.
Well, but like I said, I'm fully assured of the fact that neither Julian Green or Mike McGee will be going, and it will be Chris Wondolowski.
Neither one of us has John Brooks in this mix either. I mean, I know the kid's been on and off and on with injuries and the like, but
I'm not trying to make a pun, but he's too green.
All right, he is too green. Let's take a break. When we come back, Sean Reed, author of Love Thy Soccer, a book on American soccer culture, will join us. We'll talk through all of that. Jason and Jared on Soccer Morning, North American Soccer Network, NASN.TV, Kick TV. Stay there. Not Kick TV.
Welcome back to Soccer Morning on NASN with Jason Davis.
That guy's got it right. I don't have it right. Jason Davis, Jared DuBois, North American Soccer Network, Soccer Morning on a Monday. Special episode, not only because Jared is here, now we've got Sean Reed, author of Love Thy Soccer, and the fan rewrites the book on the American game. Sean, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great, guys. It's really a pleasure to be on the show. I'm a huge fan.
Well, I'm happy to see this project come to completion, to get together and be out in the world. How long has it taken you to get this thing out?
It's been a 5-year process, all told. I started back in 2009, just traveling across the country for the last the 2 years after that, hitting markets like Texas, New York, Jersey, Florida, St. Louis, Atlanta, even Nashville. So shout out to Chris Jones. He's one of the guys I actually just talked to for the book. And then I started writing it in earnest around 2011. Started working with Rob Jonas around that time. You know him from Quake Soccer. He's my editor. And then just putting together the whole book. It's 37 chapters long, and it's going to be between 400 and 600 pages, depending on our formatting. So it's been a long process, especially since the game's progressed so much in the last 5 years. It's crazy.
Now, Sean, I know at one point you actually talked to Mr. Jason Davis in regards to this book. Now, which chapter was this on? And I'm going to guess it was on the on American values. Is that the section that you talked to Jason Davis on? Can
I just jump in here? I want to say that was a much younger Jason Davis. It was a very long time ago. This show didn't exist.
Are you saying that you perhaps big-timed him?
No, I'm saying that at the time, I may have said something I've changed my mind about. I don't know. I'm not saying that.
And I definitely suggest, Sean, that you quote him vigorously.
Sean, do you remember what our... I'm sure it was sort of on some of these big picture, attitudes of American soccer's inferiority complex and all of that.
Yeah, I remember it well. We have a chapter on American values, and we also have one on American insecurity. And
that's perfect for Jason Davis.
You on. That was one of my first interviews, so that wasn't only a younger version of you, it was a younger version of me too. And,
there you go.
I basically was making an argument that you make that American soccer is worthy of our respect and our love and our admiration. And I kind of do it in a reversal. You wrote a piece, I believe, for 442 magazine, which, if you remember, I pulled and I asked you about it, where you were kind of jokingly poking fun at the American soccer game, and we kind of talked about that. And it's kind of odd as fans, we tend to default back to this, we're great, but we're not that great.
Right.
It's not what you were saying, and I'm totally paraphrasing this out of context. So
it's fine.
I'm going to do you justice in the book. I've sent you the excerpts, and hopefully you like what you see. And thanks to Robert Jonas, it's going to be something that
I'm looking forward to seeing it. I expect it to be fine. I'm really not worried about it. I just I think that it is interesting. You've had a 5-year process, and I think that what maybe we'll see through your book is sort of how American soccer has changed. I mean, that's a relatively short time in the grand scheme of things, but we're working on an accelerated schedule. Our top professional league's only been around since '96, so we are every 5-year increment is like 20 years in Europe, and I'm sure that we'll sort of see that through your writing.
Yeah, I think so too, and it's not just our schedule that's accelerated. I think that you take a look at where soccer was in 2009. The whole impetus for me writing this book is something that Jared talked about on the Best Soccer Show, I think last month, where he was saying, and again, I might be quoting you wrong, Jared, but I think it was something to the effect of, if you don't like what's out there or the lack of what's out there, go out and build it yourself. And I saw a basic deficiency for something like this, a book that would cover everything that the game is today, from the 4th division, the amateur ranks, all the way up to the pros, and the growth and the potential it has. And as soon as I started writing it, we started seeing outlets like Howler and your podcasts taking off with NASN and all of these diffuse soccer media, Kick TV, 11 Quarterly, all these things that have come about since then. So it's been not only a race for me to keep up with what's current, but also to give a fair appraisal of what's happened in the last 5 years. And I think that hopefully once you start the book from start to finish, you'll see a really strong showing of where we've come since then.
Yeah, it's funny. I totally agree with you on that. And thanks for you did quote me correctly when I said that. And you break down your book into a few different parts, and it really kind of stems from part 3 of your book, which says belief, and part 5, which is patience. And Jason and I will both tell you that it's a labor of love a lot of times, like I'm sure your book was. And a lot of people who write books or do anything to cover the sport in this country, it takes a lot of both of those. So talk a little bit about the way you've broken down the book and the different areas and why you chose these 5 topics.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought that up. We had to decide how we were going to tell this narrative, because we don't want just an encyclopedia. This team is here. This person did this. We wanted to tell stories. So the 5 things that I think that every soccer fan needs are a foundation, perspective, belief, a good argument, and patience. I'm a big art fan, and I like the art that comes out of the soccer movement. So I wanted to have people artists and artists from across the country contribute art. And so you see guys like Brent Diskin in Portland, who has great fan art from Timbers. He's lent himself to one of his works to the chapter, the section on a good argument. The belief section, Prairie Rose Clayton, her work is immediately recognizable. She's doing the belief section. It's really my hallmark piece. And within that belief section, I basically look at soccer across the country and all of the regional aspects and iterations and how it's developed. I mean, I talk about clubs in South Dakota that were started by a father for his sons. I look at Boise Nationals. I mean, these are places that people don't usually know, as well as the LA Galaxies, the Chivas conundrum, the expansive explosion of soccer in the Northwest, MLS 2.2, 2.0, 3.0 and beyond in New York, the Orlando excitement going on there. So it's basically a lot to cover, and hopefully by separating the book in this way, we show how we can evolve from one point to the next and break it down into a way that makes sense for the reader.
Now, look, this is, we just got done with a discussion on why franchising happened in professional sports, and obviously, has now come to soccer, and we don't have a traditional pyramid and pro rel and all of that stuff. And one of the problems, one of the reasons that happened was distance and cost and all of these things, the risks being taken by owners who put all this money. And I just wonder if distance and sort of the vastness of this picture ever overwhelmed you, and was there ever a point where you're like, well, maybe I can't cover everything that I want to cover?
That's the big frustration. I'd like to be able to tell every single story out there and do it justice, but not only are things changing, the country's just far too big. So I try to focus on specific examples of things that are going to be relevant by the time the book comes out in May. And that's been the biggest frustration, is just staying on top of everything and trying to get the stories right and get them out and make them timely and relevant.
So, Sean, let me ask you something. How do you balance I can tell part of your book is made to bring the average or perhaps novice soccer fan to the right level, but how do you balance that with also not doing too much rehashing for the soccer veteran in America to keep them interested in a book that's very comprehensive?
Mm-hmm. That's an excellent question, and it's something I definitely struggled with. I think that you have to keep things general and not get too caught up in the details. So it's, again, not an encyclopedia on facts and dates, but rather an overview of where we've been. And in terms of, like you talked about how we evolved, Jason, into our franchise system. So I take a look at where that came from. I reference guys like Zemansky and Zimbalist, who wrote that book, American Pastime, comparing soccer to baseball.
Right.
Granted, they've already written that book. I don't have to write that again.
Right.
But I do want to make sure that we're clear that Americans' soccer is a single entity that we have right now. There's a very good reason for that. So I have to talk about the class of the NASL back in '84, and I have to talk about how player transfers work, so I can explain how hard it is to make it as an American overseas. I have to reference Bozeman. So these are things that we all know. We might forget the dates and the small details, but I think that if we bring ourselves up to speed, refresh our memory for those of us who already know these things, and for those of us who don't, maybe give a new explanation for things we didn't really understand before, I think it benefits everybody in the long run. And finding that common language is how we kind of jump that problem.
So, Sean, when you picture the person that's buying your book and you see a guy walking up to the counter at Barnes & Noble or hitting buy on Amazon, what does that guy look like? What is that guy? What fan is that? Besides the fact he's going to have a six-pack of craft beer in his hand and probably a goatee. What else about it? Like, who is that person that you're writing this book for?
Well, the good thing about soccer is that it's not just the 18 to 35 demographic anymore. We have a very strong following by women. Those of us who did grow up in the 70s and 80s, and I love the shout out to Star Wars, Jared, by the way. Han shot first, just for the record.
That's right.
I think that it can be pretty much anyone buying this book because it's got an artistic element. There's scarves, hopefully, that are going to be displayed on every page, so it'll be fun to look at. We have maps that showcase all of the teams regionally, so there's going to be a very strong graphic element. And I think that you can be a strong supporter in your 60s that's just a season ticket holder that doesn't choose to sit in the fan supporter section and want to just learn a little bit more and kind of see a different perspective other than something that you might find in major media outlets or in conventional books about our history. This is something that's a little bit more personal for all of us.
All right, so Sean, so you're coming closer and closer to the finish line. For anybody, by the way, for anybody who may have run across Sean in the past, the working title of this project was "I Want You to Believe in U.S. Soccer." That has obviously shifted, and "Love Thy Soccer" will be the finished product.
Right.
Where are we talking about getting our hands on this in the near future?
I'm going to be raising money through Indiegogo because the book has such a strong artistic element, and it's going to be as big as it is, requiring the travel that it does. I have to go out to Chattanooga to work the design. I have to do a visit to Ken Tebow out in Arlington, to Virginia, your stomping grounds, Jason, to work the scarf photography. It's very labor intensive, and so we're trying to raise a lot of money through Indiegogo, and hopefully that'll be enough to help us produce it into the work we want to. So you can pre-order it. The book will retail probably for about $25, $26. You can buy it for $30 right now, and if you pay a little bit more, we reward you with some perks like roughneck scarves that I designed and profile in the book, and also Bumpy Pitch, who I also talk about the book, like the shirt Jason's wearing now. They're doing T-shirts for me. So there's some perks, and it's just a way of putting your own name on the project, because it is something that's basically for all of us and not just a self-referential look. I do think, and Jared was making a hipster joke, but I do think it's appropriate for a book like this, a sort of a large, a big look at American soccer in detail oriented, but on a wide scope, to be driven by the fans. I mean, we are still yet to get to the point where soccer is its own industry the way that baseball or football are, but I think that it's appropriate for this to be a book that the fans can get behind. Sean, I appreciate your time, man. Definitely people go to lovethysoccer.com to check it out. Anywhere else we should be pointing everybody? Just the Indiegogo site, Love Thy Soccer, Indiegogo/project/love-thy-soccer, and or you can Google us. We're all over the place, and we're trying to get a bigger footprint on the internet. So check us out and chip in if you can, or help spread the word if you can.
There you go. Sean Reed, author of Love Thy Soccer. The fan rewrites the book on the American game. Thanks for your time, Sean. We appreciate it.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks again for all your work.
All right, bye-bye. I think he got us back.
So much stuff in there. Have you looked at what's in this book? This book has so much. I mean, I take issue, and you'll be happy to know there's a chapter called "Everybody Hates L.A."
This is true, though. It's true.
I know it sucked, but yeah.
LA,
listen, this guy, if he can cover all this stuff, he's got just about everything in this dang book.
LA is the New World Order, the Bilderbergers, what am I looking for? There's another group out there, the Illuminati. LA is like the
behind everything.
They're always manipulating things to get their way, right? By the way, I think he mentioned Bumpy Pitch and said my name. I think he meant your name because you're wearing Bumpy Pitch, right?
No. He said I think he said "Who are you?" Designs.
Oh,
didn't
he said "Who are you?" Okay, well, I just want to make sure that because I thought he mentioned Bumpy Pitch too. So you're wearing Bumpy Pitch. I'm wearing "Who are you?" I think we've got this. We've got our American soccer T-shirt game not covered. There's a lot more out there, but
we're doing all right. Hey, I was thinking with the model that Scott Utterson obviously paid to get me on the show today. I'm thinking that your next fundraising thing, what you should do is no, listen, this is
want to do that again.
No, but listen, this is fun for the fans as well. Okay, have you ever been to a dueling piano bar?
I have not. You mentioned this
Okay.
on Best Soccer Show before. I've
Okay,
not
so they play a song, and if you want a different song, you pay more money than the guy before you paid, and the song changes. If you don't like the topic being talked about on Soccer Morning, you can outbid the guy that chose that topic, and we will talk about your topic instead.
I would need some kind of
real time, like monetary interchange is what you would need.
Not that I wasn't really talking about that. I would need something. I need something to break up the like. I need some. Remember?
Well, you start every day with ProRel. That way, there's someone wants to change the conversation, and then someone pays $10 to get it changed to kits, and then someone pays $20 to change to New York Red Bulls.
So somebody pays $50 to
and then someone pays $500 to get it back to ProRel, and it never changes.
Okay, I was gonna say somebody pays $50 to get it to what microbrews match up with MLS teams, stuff like that, right? Isn't that?
Yeah, you could really get some curveballs thrown at you.
Yeah, we love that stuff. Thanks again to Sean Reed, author of Love Thy Soccer. Go check it out, lovethisoccer.com. And the Indiegogo page. He's got the link right there on the front of lovethisoccer.com. All right, so we've addressed our 23-man roster. By the way, phone lines open 347-756-6276. As we speed directly towards the finish, this has gone too fast. I almost feel like we didn't have enough time together, and this is already 18 minutes more than we normally spend together.
Yeah, we'll just keep going until we stop.
No, I don't think so. I have a life. I have things I have to do.
Don't lie.
347-756-6276 is the phone number. If you want to take issue with any of our 23-man selections, somebody threw out on Twitter that we both left off Eddie Johnson. I didn't leave off Eddie Johnson.
I had Eddie Johnson on mine.
So did I. I don't know what you're talking about, Ringo. So let's move along. There's a couple of interesting items out there, and I don't want to, just like with the young kids who haven't really proven themselves at the top level and aren't ready for the World Cup. I don't want to get ahead of myself on the DC United Stadium. I will never get ahead of myself on the DC United Stadium until they are building the damn thing.
Yeah.
But we've got stadium porn, and I am a sucker for stadium.
I love stadium porn. I love it more than. Which do you love more, stadium porn or kit porn?
Stadium porn by a large margin. I
might like crest porn more than both of those, though.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good. I would go stadium porn, crest porn, kit porn. I like looking at the kits. I'm just not as into it as everybody else. 319, you're on the air.
Hi, this is Michael from Iowa.
What's up, Michael?
I was calling to ask about your 23-man roster, specifically the left-hand side. Who do you see kind of starting in those two positions? Is it going to be Johnson and Donovan, or Beasley and move Johnson up and Donovan over to the right side?
I want to see Johnson and Donovan. That's who I want to see. That's who I ultimately think is the best choices. Jared?
Yeah, I think it's going to be Johnson Donovan. I think that's your best model for success. Gives you a good defensive presence with Fabian Johnson, with the ability to overlap, especially the way both Dempsey and Donovan play that left side. Whoever's there, they're going to be cutting in and opening up a big channel, and I think that's the kind of channel you need Fabian Johnson running into.
I could, this is Klinsmann, and he's unpredictable, and he starts to Marcus Beasley and Brad Evans, and we kind of have to just throw our hands up and wait. It's possible he leaves Johnson in the midfield and puts Beasley at left back. I just hope it doesn't happen.
Mike, what do you think? What's your choice?
I would start Johnson and Donovan as well, but if Donovan's over there, who's starting on the right-hand side of midfield? Well, who's starting both positions on the right?
You've got Graham Zusi, who I think is a starter for me still, and you've got Alejandro Bedoya, who can play over there. And then a right back, I mean...
Jeff Cameron.
I don't know. Jeff Cameron. I mean, I think we all want to see Jeff Cameron, but Brad Evans is still in that mix. I think Jimmy Chandler is out. I think DeAndre Edlin's too young. I don't know where you go from there.
It's going to be Jeff Cameron.
And Eric Lehigh is injured, and who knows? Who knows if Eric Lehigh has ever impressed Jurgen Klinsmann at all? Thanks for the call, Mike. Appreciate it, man.
Let's get back to talking porn.
You want to talk about porn? So there are some renderings of the DC United Stadium. From what I could tell, I saw these at SB Nation, which I think is Black and Red United is the DC United blog over there. Those guys do a good job. It's a picture of a poster board, so it's kind of blurry. It's kind of hard to tell exactly what's happening. But it's got a roof on it all the way around. There's no open end. Sorry, San Jose. It looks good. It gets me excited. If that is DC United Stadium, it's one of the best atmospheres in MLS the second it opens. I'm sorry, it is.
Yeah, I really love the look of it. It's got a little bit of, I feel it's got a little bit of that Red Bull kind of thing where it's got the oval opening at the top of the roof all the way around, but it has the it looks lighter and airier because they've left like the gap between where the roof and the stands connect. I mean, I'm a little bit nervous that lets a lot of wind and maybe some of the elements in that DC.
It's way cheaper than actually closing the whole thing all out Red Bull Arena.
I agree, and the stands look like the fans look like they're right on top of the pitch.
But it looks a lot like Sporting Park, and I don't think you've been there, but it looks a lot like Sporting Park, which is great. I mean, I think it's the same architects, Populous, same people who did Sporting Park. If they end up with anything approximating Sporting Park in DC, that's a home run. Now, I don't know what ultimately the cost will be, and the reason I can't get ahead of myself is because they still have to secure the rest of the land. And right now, the word is 80% of the deals are in place. And 20% is a large portion. They can't move ahead unless they get that last 20%. 803, you're on the air.
Hey, it's Bob. How you guys?
What's up, Bob?
Hey, I have a pick of poison.
All right, man. You want the sound? You want the
Yeah, I want the sound.
All right, there you go. You talked over it, but there it was. What's up, Bob?
Can you compare your 23-man roster, how you feel about it now versus February 2010?
Oh, I have to go back and look.
That's oh man, going by.
I feel better about this roster from the midfield up. I feel
I agree. There's no Robbie Findlay on this 23-man roster.
Right.
I think the upgrade of Rico Clark to Kyle Beckerman is definitely an upgrade. I think I like the fact. I think the Failhaber versus Discrude might be a straight swap. I don't know, Edson Buttle. I like Edson Buttle more than, if you think Edson Buttle is probably our third highest striker that we took that last time around. Third highest striker potentially right now.
Thanks, Bob.
Is Eddie Johnson. I think that's an upgrade.
I'm getting some serious echo there. All right, those guys dropped off. 347-756-6276. You mentioned Buttle and Finley. Those guys were hot at the time. They were scoring goals. Neither one
wasn't high on Finley even then, though.
Well, okay, but nobody was. That's the thing. Nobody was overly convinced they could get the job done in the World Cup. And I've said this 1,000 times since then, as we build up to 2014. The fact that you're not going to start. No offense to Rico Clark, who's a very good player at MLS, but the fact you're not starting Rico Clark and Robbie Findlay in the World Cup this time around means immediate upgrades for me, because the guys replacing them are significantly better.
I'll say this. We didn't have two strikers playing at a very high level in Europe that we do right now. Granted, Josie Altidore's form may be all over the place. He's playing in the EPL. Aaron Johansson's hot in the Eredivisie. I feel more positive about the forward position than I did last time around. Absolutely. Defense is shaky.
Like I said, from the midfield up, I feel better about this team than I did 2010. Goalkeepers were okay. Howard, Guzan, I'm cool. I think that this is a better team everywhere but that back line, because
it's a better Michael Bradley as well.
There's that too. Your fullbacks are serious questions, and you're starting relatively inexperienced center backs. It's not a Gucci Onyewu and Carlos Bocanegra anymore. And those guys were experienced and had, we felt good about whether or not they were better.
I don't Jay DeMerit being there as well. That was Chief Steve Cherundolo. I mean, that's a much. Listen, it's a back line you could have a lot more confidence in because it was a veteran back line. Well, we're not taking a veteran back line by any stretch of the imagination to this World Cup.
Producer Trevor throws in Charlie Davies, who was not in that mix because he got hurt in 2009.
So, yeah.
2010, we'd taken him out of the equation. 909, you're on the air.
Hello. I'm calling in. I'm 14 years old, and I watch your show. I play youth soccer in the SoCal area.
Inland Empire, baby.
Around Pomona. And I wanted to ask you, who are in the next World Cup cycle, who do you think the 3 U.S. men's national team goalkeepers are?
The next World Cup cycle. Thanks for the call, man. I appreciate it. The next one, Guzan.
Howard's out.
Yeah, Guzan. He could stick around. I mean,
Guzan, I don't know if he's a starter, though. I don't know if he's a starter 4 years from now. I think that's Guzan's job.
I'm going to go Guzan. No, that's what I'm saying. Howard may be a backup by then. Guzan, but if we're going to take Howard out, Hamid.
I'm gonna go way out. Yeah, I'll take Howard out, too. I'm going to go way out on a limb. What'd you say?
I said Hamid and Clint Irwin. That's throwing him out.
Oh, I was gonna throw Clint Irwin in there too. I didn't think you would throw him in there. I'm gonna say Hamid and Clint Irwin. I think we're both on the same page right there. I think those are the three. I mean, Clark might make it. I mean, don't forget that Steve Clark had a good run in Europe and just came back to MLS. We'll see what he can do when he. Yeah. I mean, there's a couple of guys out there in the mix. Dan Kennedy's never gotten his shot.
Yeah, I think that's gone. I think that ship has sailed. I really do, which is unfortunate for Dan Kennedy, who was one of the best goalkeepers in MLS.
Did Trevor Hayward just really put Zach McMath? Please tell me he was messing around.
He's joking. He's joking.
Oh, God. Okay, you can't come across always.
We only got a couple minutes here to wrap up the porn discussion and know for anybody who is going to call family organizations to get us off the air, which you can't do, by the way, because we don't fall under the auspices.
Yeah, the only opening we're going to talk about in this porn is the roof.
Yes. We're going to be entering a sort of a new age of stadium porn, and I really am excited. I mean, I'm excited. You've got DC United, which, again, not getting ahead of myself. Miami's going to get their stuff together. We're going to see stuff from Orlando here very shortly in a real this is going to happen sense. There's definitely going to be a finish there. I'm excited.
I really want to see what that Miami Stadium is going to look like because that's an ownership group that can put the money together to do something really kind of unique, especially if they get that Port Miami kind of location where they have the ocean backdrop. I mean, that's a really, really kind of cool thing they could be putting together down there.
Potentially, New York City is really going to get moving here shortly. We'll see that. And look, New England Revolution, just join in. Look, everybody's doing it. It's fine. Just jump right in. Put out some stuff, even if you don't actually get it built. Put it out there so we can.
Just hire Prairie Rose to do a rendering of a stadium and then put it out there.
That's right. Her work is in Love Thy Soccer, as a matter of fact. Something very cool is happening on Twitter, which we have not yet addressed. People are asking the question, this being President's Day. We don't have time for this now. I'm sad. Who would be the best soccer playing president in history? Now, I think George Bush Jr. actually played some soccer.
That depresses me greatly.
I think he actually did. But if we're talking about historically,
Obama's the best athlete that's ever been in the White House.
I know, but I'm just, it's just funny.
Listen, Abraham Lincoln's going to be a good target man. He's going to be good up top. I mean, he'd probably be a good center back, actually. He'd probably be a good center back, Abraham Lincoln.
Want him in this? That's an Omar Gonzalez position shift. Would you rather have him up top as the big, powerful center forward, or would you rather have him in the back line clearing everything out with his head?
I'd rather have him back line clearing everything out. I think that's more of his kind of thing. Man, though, I mean, who's got the kind of sparkle of a striker? You got to feel like for some reason I see JFK as like as a number 10 kind of Stevie Gerrard like. Maybe it's because they kind of look alike or something. I don't know, but
man, there's so much fun to be had with that.
Oh, he's like Joe Cole probably.
Yeah, soccer. Let's just hashtag this soccer presidents. So I don't know.
But, you see Bill Clinton with Kyle Beckerman's hair.
Jimmy Carter look quick, says Ringo. So there you go. All right. Please go to iTunes, ratings and reviews for Soccer Morning. Help us out a lot. And while you're there, find the best soccer show. Give us a rating and review for that show as well. Look, this was a dream for me. I would love to do this every day with Jared DuBois. Maybe one day we'll get there. Maybe one day in the future that Scott Utterson imagines is possible. Maybe we'll get there. But for the time being, thanks, man. This was awesome.
Thanks for having me. It was fun, man. And thanks for Scott for making it happen.
Thanks for Scott for making it happen. Send us email, show@soccermorning.com, and follow us on Twitter @soccermorning. Anything else? Nothing? We done?
That's
it.
We're
done. Let me just go ahead and drop one more.
Jay Rodius.
Feels right.
Yeah, maybe people may not even know to follow me on Twitter. They don't know what Jay Rodius is.
Jay Rodius on Twitter, JRODIUS, and we are out. Bye, guys. Check it out.
The days on the boulevard I landed. We used to kick routines and the presence was fitting. It was I, the abstract.